Hi, it's Andy, and today I'm going to be doing the 20 questions book tag. I have the questions written down on my notepad and I'm basically just going to go through and answer them. Been enjoying watching other people do book tags, so I really wanted to get involved. I would link the creator to this down, but nobody seems to know who the creator is, so if you know who the creator is, please let me know so I can credit them. But yeah, I'm just going to get straight into it. So the first question, how many books is too many books in a series? Really, for me, I don't think there are too many books in a series. I've got the whole Scarpetta series up on the top of my bookshelf that you can't see, and there are 24 books in that. And I also have the Lindsay Sands Arjuna series, which is somewhere near 30 at least in that series. So I enjoy a good long book series. I love learning about the characters. I love following them through things. I would watch them just live a normal life. I hate the happily ever after ending because I don't want you to tell me they lived happily ever after. I want to see it. As long as it's well done, I don't think you can have too many books in a series. Question 2, how do you feel about cliffhangers? I hate them. I hate them, I hate them, I hate them. I hate them. There is nothing worse than getting to the end of a book or a TV series or a film or something else you're enjoying and it doesn't resolve at the end. Now, sometimes I understand and it's a good tool to use, so if it's in a series and it'll make you want to read the next book, that's fine, as long as I have the next book, because if I don't, or I have to wait a year looking at you, Chain of Thorns, I hate it. But if I have the whole series, then I can live with that. But books that just end on a cliffhanger, I've read a couple of books like that and I really didn't like it. I really didn't like having the cliffhanger with no resolve. I like having everything resolved. Question 3, hardback or paperback? I actually prefer paperbacks. Most of my books are paperbacks, although I've got some cloth bound editions that you can't see. I will buy hardbacks if it's a new release, so this is the limited edition ones, so I decided to get the hardbacks for these, and this is just stunning on the edges, so I had to get the hardcover copy of that just so I could get the sprayed edges and the reversible cover. I much prefer to read paperbacks, but sometimes I love the look of hardbacks. Number 4, favourite book. I don't think I have a favourite book. I have favourites. So for example, I read The Martian every year. I am always excited to read A Discovery of Witches. I will reread my Lindsay Sands over and over again because I love the characters. I'm trying to think. The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna is definitely one of my favourite books. You know, I don't have one favourite book, and I don't know if anybody can have one favourite book. I'm sure people do, but... Oh, also Vampire Academy. Love Vampire Academy. It's the only book I have 2 copies of other than The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. Question 5, your least favourite book. Only a couple really spring to mind, so there is The First 15 Lives of Harry August. That came highly recommended, but I hate it. I couldn't understand what was going on. The concept sounded great, and it's a similar concept to Matt Haig's How to Stop Time, and I loved that book, so obviously it just didn't mesh with me the way that Claire North did that. So yeah, definitely the first 15 lives of Harry August, and also the sequel to Me Before You, which is After You. I absolutely hated it. If you enjoyed Me Before You, do not read After You. And I've not even looked at the 3rd book in that series because as far as I'm concerned, Me Before You is a standalone, because that 2nd book just ruined everything for me. I don't think there are really any other books that I've not liked, or at least if I didn't, then I've thrown it out of my memory. Question 6, love triangles, yes or no? Both. This is probably the standard answer. If it's done well, then I love them. If it's not, then the Dark Artifices, which again you can't see, the Dark Artifices love triangle with Will, Tessa and Jem that's it for me. That is the love triangle. That is my favourite love triangle, and that's how I want all of them to play out. When I was a teenager reading Twilight for the first time, I was really into the whole Edward Jacob love triangle thing. Yeah, not sure how I would feel about it now if I read it now, but definitely when I was a teenager I loved that. I think probably, as long as everyone ends up happy and the protagonist ends up with the person I want them to end up with. I'm quite happy about that. Also, the Shatter Me love triangle. Don't know if you'd call that a love triangle, but I'm going to call it a love triangle. Love the way that happened. Bit of a spoiler here to anybody who hasn't read them yet. So just, I'll hold my hand up, and when I put my hand down, then I've stopped talking about it. So the love triangle in Shatter Me with Adam and Warner and Juliet, I absolutely loved, because it showed the whole dichotomy of, you know, the Adam's the nice guy, the good guy, and that Warner's the bad guy. But then it flips that on its head, because Adam's not actually a good guy, but he has that nice guys finish last, I'm a good guy so I deserve the girl, you know, that whole thing about him. And I absolutely hate how controlling he is and how entitled he thinks he is to Juliet, when Warner, who is the bad guy, the evil guy, yeah, he does bad things and he's a morally very, very grey character, but he actually cares about Juliet and he actually cares about her being happy. I'm not saying he's a good guy by any stretch of the imagination, but when it comes simply to Juliet, I do love the idea of flipping that good and evil narrative on its head, because so many times you see that the nice guy is actually not the nice guy in real life, and I would like for teenagers to see that teenage girls, that just because he's a nice guy doesn't necessarily mean he's actually a good guy. Okay, stop talking about it now. I had a little rant, now it's over. Question 7. The most recent book you just couldn't finish. Oh, controversial. Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. It is the second time I've tried to read it, and this time I tried to read it via audiobook, thinking that might make it easier, and I could not even focus on it. It's just so boring. It's the kind of fiction that I don't think appeals to me. It's not interesting, nothing happens. They're just there, almost. And I mean, it's so forgettable for me, I couldn't even tell you what it was about. So yeah, I ended up DNFing Rebecca for the second time, and I don't think I'm going to give it a third try. Question 8. A book you're currently reading. So right now I am reading 3 books. The first is the third in the Bargainer series, which is Dark Harmony. And that is by Laura Thalassa. I think that's Thalassa, maybe. I basically just whizzed through these books. I'm reading that on my Kindle, and it was because Becca and the Books, Becca that does the Bookoplathon, she decided to give I think it was the last book or the second book a go after reading the others, and I saw that as a sign because I'd already come across Rhapsodic, which is the first in the series, and I thought, you know what, this is a sign, I'm going to read it, and I ended up loving it. It's the only fae-related story that I've actually found myself enjoying, other than Cassandra Clare, but this is purely fae. So this is definitely an adult fantasy, although more of an urban fantasy, I think. It's definitely adult. There are definitely things in there not for young adults or kids, and it is about a siren named Cassie and the Bargainer, who is a fairy king called Desmond. They've known each other for years, and he comes back to her after 8 years of being sort of gone, and what the Bargainer does is he trades bargains for these beads, and she has a whole arm of beads, and each bead is a favour that she owes him, so he comes back to collect. But then there's actually more to it, and I'm not going to spoil any more, but I definitely, but it's not like the next great work of fiction, but it's something that I love. Another book I'm reading is If Only by Melanie Murphy. I am no further with it than I was a week ago, because I've just been in the mood to plough through the Bargainer series, so hopefully I'll get onto that next. That is, as far as I'm aware, about a girl who, I think she's turning 30 and has all these what ifs, and her granny gives her some kind of heirloom that allows her to see the what ifs, but other than that I'm not really sure. I've not read enough of it. The third book that I'm currently reading is Little Women. I'm still reading Little Women. I'm very slowly getting through that, still enjoying it, but still taking my time with it. Question 9. The last book you recommended to someone. I think the last book I recommended to someone was probably A Discovery of Witches. I recommended that to my friend Millie, and I think I've also recommended it to my friend Fiona and also my mum because it is one of my favourite series and I just want everybody to read it so that I can talk about it. 10. The oldest book you've read by publication date. That is probably going to be Postmortem by Patricia Cornwell. I think its publication date is either 1990 or 1989. I don't think I have anything older than that. Oh no, that's a lie. I have Jane Austen books, Pride and Prejudice and Persuasion. They are probably the oldest books. That edition wasn't published earliest, but you know, the whole classic thing, the initial writing of the book was in the 1800s, I believe. I do also have The Three Musketeers by someone Dumas, I can't remember his name, Alexander Dumas? I'm not sure if that predates Jane Austen or not, but those are definitely the oldest books I have. Question 11. The newest book you've read by publication date. That has got to be either Chain of Iron or The Desolations of Devil's Acre. I can't remember which one came out first. I think they were within a couple of days of each other, but I have neither up here because I've left them downstairs to film a wrap up. They will be the most recent. They only came out at the start of March and I've not bought anything else since then. Number 12, your favourite author. I don't think I have a favourite author. I don't know what constitutes a favourite author. I have, you know, over 20 of Patricia Cornwell's books, but I wouldn't call her my favourite author because I wouldn't read any of her other works. Same with Lindsay Sands. Her Argent one of my favourite series, but I wouldn't read any of her other series. Andy Weir, I've got The Martian, still never read anything else. I think possibly L.J. Smith. I like picking up L.J. Smith books. She's pretty much almost an auto-buy author, and Sandra Clare, also an auto-buy author. If she writes something, I'll read it, basically, especially if it's got to do with Malik. I will absolutely be picking that up. I think that's pretty much it. Also, probably Rochelle Mead. So far I've enjoyed everything she's written, so I think she's probably one of my favourite authors as well. Number 13, buying books or borrowing books. I have to say, as you can see from behind me, I do like buying books. I have a problem. Hello, I'm Andy. I have a book buying problem. Yes, that's why I'm on YouTube. BookTube specifically. I definitely prefer buying books. I will borrow books. When I borrow books, it's because I'm not sure if I'm going to like it, and if I do end up liking it enough that I would want to read it again, then I'll buy it. So I will borrow books. I have no problem with borrowing books, but especially since COVID and everything, the libraries here have been shut and I don't really have friends that read close by that have books to lend me, so I mostly buy books, but I'm not against borrowing books. 14, a book you dislike but everyone seems to love. I don't really know. I've been quite consistent with also liking things that other people like. There is one, but I can't remember what it is. I mean, going back to the first 15 Lives of Harry August, that's very popular, and I just don't like it. There is also another one, I can't remember what it is. Yeah, no, we'll go with the first 15 Lives of Harry August. Question 15, bookmarks or dog ears? I can't dog ear a book. I used to dog ear a book when I was younger, and then after all the beatings that my books got when I was younger and the pages started falling out, I stopped mistreating books. I mean, do what you want with your own books, but for me, I don't crack the spines, I don't fold the pages. I am very, very careful with my books because I want to keep them for a long time, so I don't dog ear the pages. I will use a bookmark or something that I can find to use as a bookmark instead of, you know, dog earing the page. I'll throw my phone in there if I just need to get up and get something to use as a bookmark. Question 16, a book you can always reread. The Martian and The Discovery of Witches, the two books that I read almost every year. The Discovery of Witches, I read the whole series. The Martian, I obviously just the one book. God, there are so many books that I want to reread. I might do a video on the books that I want to reread. If anybody cares to let me know if that's something you want to see, then I would be very happy to make that. But yeah, there are definitely books I want to reread, and I have a very, very bad memory, like actual bad memory, not just how I am a little bit forgetful, like because of the way my brain's affected with my EDS. I have a terrible memory, so I can reread books over and over and over and still not remember more than the general premise, which is fantastic. It also means I get to keep all the books that I read because I know I'll reread them and find something new. Question 17, can you read whilst listening to music? Yes. I can't not read while listening to music. I can't read if it's silent because all I'll focus on is every single little noise in the vicinity, which will put me off my book. so I like to have something in the background, not loud enough that it'll distract me, but just sort of something overlaying the background noise, because sometimes it's almost like the silence is too loud, which makes no sense, but to some people that will make sense. But yeah, not like loud music. And sometimes I like watching the ambient rooms, just to have that sort of background noise, the fire crackling, the rain, things like that, rather than just silence. Question 18. One point of view or multiple points of view? I much prefer one point of view. Because I have such a terrible memory, it's difficult for me to try and keep up with what's happening with everybody going on, and things like with Chain of Iron, I kept jumping, the cliffhanger jumped to the next person, cliffhanger jumped to the next person, which made me read the book faster, but also frustrated me. So I much prefer a single point of view, but I won't not read something that's multiple point of view, because that has a different, that brings a different thing to the story. 19. Do you read a book in one sitting or over multiple days? Usually over multiple days. I will have days where I'll just plough through a book in one go. I did that this week with the Bargainer series, but normally because I work, I only really get the evenings to read, but I also have other things I need to do, walk the dog, make dinner, eat dinner, you know, I want to do other things other than go to work, come home, read. I do have other things I want to do, surprisingly, so I can do both. I mostly do multiple days. And question 20, the last question, who do you tag? I still have no friends on BookTube. It's very, very sad, so I'll tag anybody that wants to do this. Anybody that wants to interact, just let me know in the future if you want me to tag anything. So that's the video. Thank you so much for watching. I really enjoyed making this. This was actually quite a lot of fun, and some of them made me have to think about things. If you want to do this tag, please do this tag, and I will put the questions in the doobly-doo below. If you have anything you disagree with for me there, or anything you want to input, or any comments, just leave them down in the comment box, and I'll chat with you there. Thank you for watching. Bye.